This week on Profile, Peter Bianchi, CEO, Innovative Beverage Company. What's a typical Peter Bianchi day?
There is no typical day. It is something of the first thing I do is everybody has their morning ritual and the morning routine, and still coming from New York, it doesn't stop. It's media junkie. It's when I wake up, you know, from walking out of the shower, it is 5 channels of CNN, NBC to Fox to everything we have. But my day is dictated through now. The first half of our relationship was through customers and building that relationship, and that's what our business does now. It's what a core of what my business partner does. Now most of my day is actually flying around the country. It's actually dealing with our large distributors, Budweiser, Coke, Pepsi, Miller, dealing with their whims and helping our brand grow nationally as well as it did regionally here, and that's what we've done. We've taken that hometown philosophy of earning relationships, and now we have the ability and the blessings to deal with major household names, and they find it refreshing to deal with somebody that started a business this way and are just impressed and just have that passion to want to do business with them out of forming relationships and understand the entrepreneurial spirit, because that's what grew their brands 50 years, 70 years ago. That's what they're looking for. I came down in Houston in 1994. I transferred down from Houston with the firm Morgan Stanley. I was an investment banker from about 22 years old till about 2001, when I decided to start Innovative Beverage Group. Coming down here, I had no interaction with people in Houston. It was come down here, you worked for a firm, and how do you start a social life and start from coming from New York? I mean, you had people your whole life. You had relationships with. You had your friends. Your friends that you were riding bikes when you were 7 years old to having nothing. And our family came from the restaurant and bar industry itself, and started a relationship with the family down here, the Molinas family, and actually worked for Morgan Stanley during the day and walked out of the trading desk at 5:30 and walked into the restaurant and turned it into my own little meeting center. Worked for the family and ran a restaurant as well. I lived 2 different lives. At that time, I met some investment bankers who had left a big firm and started their own small style firm called Fidelity Capital. And they said, why don't you make a transition to be a little bit more relaxed and work for yourself? And there was a little story about, they kept on taunting me every day, coming in saying, when are you leaving? When are you leaving? And I just transferred down with Morgan Stanley, and I still had a contract with them. And the contract with Morgan Stanley had a financial commitment to it. And when one of the partners opened up his checkbook and wrote me a $200,000 check and said, here's your contract, what's your excuse now? It showed me that they had enough belief in me. Why didn't I? And that's what I think corporate America, they instill greatness, but they also take a little bit of your self-confidence away of your core beliefs. And what it did was turn around and say, the entrepreneurial spirit is alive, what do I do? Went into investment banking here in Houston and looked at companies that our firm personally made an investment, just like what I did in Morgan Stanley. And what we ended up doing was finding companies, finding the story, and my business partner, Jan Bonner, walked into our firm one day and said, I really like you to, at this time I didn't know him, I'd like you to look at this company, a beverage company. It's an energy drink company. I said, it's not something I want to deal with, a startup company, a startup business, startup concept. And his persistence of showing me the business plan of a beverage company, of a beverage that was already created, intrigued me. And everything I've done in my life, whether it was investment banking, music, I had to know everything about it. I was just the quest for the knowledge of everything. And learning a lot about the beverage industry, understanding that most beverage industries, it doesn't matter if it's Snapple, Arizona, most of your business, it's virtual companies. They don't own bottling facilities. They don't own trucks. They own nothing. What they do is they create a recipe, a concept, an idea of something they think America wants. And they formulate it from that. They coordinate large runs in production facilities. Every beverage company, unless you're Coke, Pepsi, Miller, or Budweiser, everything you consume pretty much at the grocery store or as a beverage is done in co-packing facilities. You actually purchase runtime, just like a print shop. When you want your business cards, you don't go out and buy a printing press. What you do is you go in and say, I want business cards.
Now, how big is the company now?
Innovative Beverage touches about 3,000 shelves here in Houston, Texas. About 20 employees here in Houston as an operation company. When Sobe first started out, it had 4 employees. And I remember reading an article in Analyzing Technology at one time. I did it for Morgan Stanley, and again, it really clicked when I was analyzing the beverage industry for being a virtual company. Nokia at one time, when basically everybody's cell phone went from the Motorola brick, went in everyone's hand. Everyone had a smaller Nokia phone, and Nokia North America had 4 employees, which was Nokia North America. And what I thought it was is how could you run something that had a massive brand, a massive name, and only have 4 employees to it. And what we do now is you take that philosophy of major corporations and major brands are like that. It's basically a corporate philosophy, a mantra that the company has. And what Innovative Beverage has in Houston is bringing household products, household names to consumers here. And what we're doing is bringing a brand nationally, like Drank, to turn around and be one of those success stories, a Sobe, a Red Bull, a Nokia. As I keep on going, you need to deal with Carla and everything. So we're trying to set up at 4:30 today, the conference call in regards to the CFO and everything. So just have Jan call Bert, make sure everything is fine.
For today.
For today, yep. Joe Roberts, Citron, beautiful. All right, thanks. All right. I think we're going to go here in the conference room. Mr. Pritchard, how are you? Uh-oh. Good morning to you. Nice to see you.
So how do you, once you formulate this recipe and you have this product and you're behind it and you've bought into the business plan of, okay, this is a beverage company and I can do this, what's the next step? How do you get this onto, how do you have the courage and the confidence to get this on a shelf, your first shelf?
In being an entrepreneur, and everything I've done in life typically is taking a risk. And coming down here, and if you know anything about the early 2000s, Enron, and all of the major companies at that time, before the economy has done what it's done in AIG, but back then you had companies, WorldCom, Tyco, Enron, major companies. Arthur Andersen, you were seeing cracks in their armor in the major companies. We saw the writing on the wall. Actually, what we did is we would make investments in new emerging companies, take a position, bring them on the stock market, and would bring on and attract new investors for new issues. That year, there were only 4 new issues in IPOs that actually came out. We saw the writing on the wall. So I really started wondering why this business plan that was on the top of my desk was really calling, and started spending more time with Mr. Bonner. I said, if we're going to do this, we're not going to go out and create a beverage. We're going to create a business.